Making money in GTA Online has never been easier, so in today's episode of Billionaire's Beginnings, I'm going to share how I made $5 million in just a few hours of grinding. To start off the money grind, I of course did a Cayo Perico heist. It's still a top 2 ways to make money in the entire game, and I used my normal strategy to complete it. I approached the island at the main dock with the longfin, and then I head straight over to the airstrip. At the airstrip, I've already scouted out what areas are going to have the best secondary loot. I go in, pick up the best secondary loot, and then head over to the drainage tunnel on the other side of the island. That way I could get into the compound, take the primary target, which for this run unfortunately was not the best one, and then I could escape the island by jumping off and swimming away. That route has worked for me every single time. I will leave a link to my guide in the description down below on how you could do it as well, but for this first run it did make me $1 million and it took me just under an hour to do. Now because I did do it solo, it did mean that I had a 2.5 hour cooldown before I could do the heist again, and I could do things in the meantime, but instead I switched over to my secondary character, which I have a Kasaka submarine on that character as well, and I did another Cayo Perico heist right after doing the first one. Now because I haven't done a Cayo Perico heist on my second character in a very long time, I did get the pink diamond as my primary target, which is one of the primary targets that wasn't affected by the most recent nerf. So I got really lucky with that. It is the highest paying primary target outside of the limited edition Panther statue. So I got that and decent secondary loot, meaning that in total I made around $1.5 million in just under 1 hour. So far in just 2 hours time, I'd made about $2.5 million just from the Cayo Perico heist. But I didn't want to just keep replaying the heist, I wanted to switch it up and have some fun, so right after that I actually did a Nightclub Sale mission. Now I won't get into all the fine details of the business, but if you have all 5 technicians assigned to cargo and shipments, sporting goods, South American imports, pharmaceutical research, and cash creation, they will generate or source you $50,000 worth of stock every hour, and that's going to happen while you're playing the game or just so long as you're in an online session. So you could be AFK, playing the game, it doesn't matter. And as you can see at this point, I had built up over $800,000 worth of stock to sell, which was because I'd been AFK and playing the game for other videos for about 16 hours total. For those of you who may be wondering how I go AFK, it's very simple. I head over to an apartment building that I have multiple units in. When I head over to the front door, it will then give me the option to choose between which unit I want to go into. And just so long as I stay in that screen there, that will allow me to go AFK. All I have to do is plug in my controller, leave it there, and I'm able to be away from my game for many hours on end. The game still thinks I'm playing, which is why all of my product is being sourced in the nightclub. And of course, that also means that everything else passive in the game is producing. So after, like I said, 16 hours of time, I now had roughly $800,000 plus worth of stock in the nightclub, so I decided to do a sell mission. I could do it in a public lobby or an invite-only lobby. I decided to go with invite-only. I didn't want to take any chances with griefers, so it was a really straightforward mission, and at the end of it, after Tony's cut, I made $775,000. In the past, I would have waited for my nightclub stock to get to at least $1 million or more, because then I could max out the amount of money I made from the sell mission. If you don't know, Tony takes a 10% cut, but that 10% cut is capped out at $100,000. So if you sell $1 million worth of stock, it will be 100 grand, but if you sell $2 million worth of stock, it will still be 100 grand. So really, anything over 1 million, you're actually maximizing how much money you make on the sell mission. But because each of these products gets capped out after a certain period of time, when you try to build up $1 million or more, you tend to start having to assign your technicians to other goods that aren't as high paying. So nowadays, I just go until I get to about 800K, maybe 900K, and sell there and not worry too much about Tony's cut. So that was a huge sale and a great way to make money. The nightclub is always an incredible way to make money. But next up was doing the time trials, which I haven't done in quite some time. I did the HSW time trial with my Hakuchi drag. Took me about 5 minutes, a couple tries to do, and of course, because I did it, I made $250,000. I then went over to the regular time trial, did that one. It only took a couple minutes this time because I didn't mess up at all, and made $100,000. And to keep in line with weekly challenges, I decided to do the festive Yeti Manhunt and the Snowman Treasure Hunt, which are 2 great easy ways to make money right now, and I do think they're going to be over in a couple days time. The Yeti Manhunt, all you have to do is go into this white circle up at the north part of the map. There's going to be 5 different clues that you could find. I will leave links to guides in the description down below of people who've already made videos on it that were really helpful. But once you find those 5 clues, the Yeti will then appear between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So at night, he is quite a tank. He will take you out if you aren't careful, but I did complete it, and in all, it made me $150,000 and took me about 20 minutes to do. The other treasure hunt to do was the Snowman treasure hunt. There are 25 different snowmans located around the map. All I had to do was run them over with my Oppressor Mark II, and all in, after finding all 25 and destroying them, I earned a total of $250,000, and that took about 30 minutes to do. And with that, I was now at the home stretch of the money grind, $1 million to go, and I really wanted to incorporate the newest business added in the most recent DLC, which is the Salvage Yard. And I think it's actually an incredible business. There's 3 ways to make money. You have with the robberies that change each week. They can be done once and they pay out anywhere between 200 to 400k. You also have salvaging cars, which makes you anywhere between 60 to about 100 grand each in-game day if you salvage 2 cars. And you also have the wall safe that makes you up to roughly $25,000 every in-game day. So tons of money can be made with it, and to start off, I salvaged 2 cars, which took me 10 minutes to do. All you have to do is have the tow truck with the business. You then could go out and do a towing mission, bring the car back, and then workers at the salvage yard will salvage that car for parts and then give you money after 48 minutes. I always salvage 2 cars at a time, which takes about 10 minutes total to do. And because I have the additional staff member for the business, it takes 48 minutes for the cars to be salvaged. And of course, every time you salvage a car, it also increases the amount that will be deposited into the salvage yard wall safe every in-game day. So now I was going to be making anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 per in-game day. And so once that was taken care of, I then hopped into a robbery, the best robbery for the week, which is the newly released submarine robbery. I've been waiting for it since the beginning of the DLC. It is very exciting. All around, it was a really good robbery. The setup missions were very easy to do. You just go into it guns blazing. I wouldn't worry about trying to do things stealth. You'll never be able to, I don't believe. So take out all the guards, do whatever's needed, and then the finale is the really cool part because we head over up to roughly the Paleto Bay area. We hop into a submersible, and we're going to go searching for the submarine that has the car that we're stealing on it. Now, it took me some time to realize that pressing in on my right joystick opened up a radar on my minimap showing where the Kasaka submarine was, so it took me some time to figure that out. It's a little embarrassing, but it is what it is. Eventually, I was able to get to the submarine. I went through it and took out all the guards, and most importantly, the head of security. That way, I was able to drive the submarine up onto shore, and then from there, I was able to unlock the helipad and get into the car to drive away. Now, the easiest way to get away during this mission is just to go up to the train tracks up at the side of the mountain and follow the train tracks all the way until you're close to the city, and then from there, you could just drive back to your salvage yard. It makes things a lot easier. And of course, once the car was back at the business, I drove it right down to the docks right away, and in total made $410,000 for that robbery, and it took me just under 1 hour to complete. And with that, the final 3 things to do is to 1, sell off my acid, which had built up over the roughly 3-4 hours that I was playing. Now, normally a full acid lab sells for $335,000, but because I sold it in a public lobby with just about 15 people, I made $475k, and then from there, I went over to my nightclub wall safe and collected $250k, which had built up over some time. The way the nightclub wall safe works is depending on your nightclub popularity, a set amount of money will be deposited into it, and because my nightclub popularity was always maxed out, $50,000 was deposited into the wall safe every in-game day. So that was an easy $250k, and then I went over to my salvage yard and collected the money from the wall safe, which was just over 75 grand. So in total, I made just under $5.3 million, and I only spent about 4 hours actually actively grinding the game. Now, there was some AFK time and some stuff built up over a longer period of time like the nightclub, but that's just part of the money grind. It is something that's continuous, that goes across many days or many weeks. But with that, that is how I made $5 million as a solo player. I gotta say, I did have a ton of fun, and I really do suggest you guys doing a ton of different things to make money in the game. Utilize your nightclub if you have it. Make sure to do the Cayo Perico heist. It is such a staple in the game, or the Dr. Dre contract. Either one works. And then always make sure to do your time trials. Make sure to do any kind of festive events that give you any kind of money, like the Yeti manhunt, the Snowman treasure hunt. And I highly suggest getting a salvage yard because the robberies are a ton of fun and there's so many ways to make money with it. But with that being said, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like. If you're new, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Peace.